Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're digging into some sources that honestly surprised me. They suggest some pretty deep lessons about, well, politics, corruption, and justice can actually come from a fairy tale.
That's right. We're looking at excerpts from the classic German story Der Vogelgreif, the Griffin Bird. And you brought these to us because, well, you wanted to explore how these old stories tackled things like why being sneaky clever fails, and why simple honesty sometimes wins out unexpectedly.
Exactly, and this tale really delivers on that front. So the setup is pretty stark. You've got a kingdom in crisis, the king's daughter, incurably ill, all the doctors have given up, but there's this prophecy.
A prophecy saying she could only be cured if she eats a certain kind of, magical apple.
Right, and the stakes couldn't be higher. The king, maybe out of desperation, maybe he's a bit manipulative, who knows, he promises this huge reward. Whoever brings the cure gets to marry the princess, and this is key, inherit the entire kingdom.
Yeah, so right away, this isn't just about healing, it's about succession, it's about power.
So our mission for this deep dive is to really break down why the two sons everyone thinks are clever fail so badly, instantly, and why the youngest son, the one everyone calls Dumb Hans, succeeds just by being truthful.
And also, how that initial success, that honesty, kicks off this whole chain of events leading to a kind of systemic justice at the end. It's quite a journey.
It really is. The sources make it clear this world runs on some strict magical rules. You want the crown. Sure, the path starts with apples, but there's a toll booth.
And the operator is this little magical guy who basically enforces honesty. You can't bluff your way past him.
Okay, let's get into phase one, the failure of falsehood. So a farmer hears about the reward and sends his three sons. First up is the oldest, Yule. He gets a basket, fills it with beautiful red apples, the right cure.
He's got the goods, the mission's clear, seems straightforward.
But before he even gets near the castle, he hits the first test. He meets the kleine eisige Männlein.
The small, icy little man, yeah, he's crucial. He's like the gatekeeper, the moral filter. Pops up on the road, stops travelers, asks a simple question. What are you carrying?
And Ila, well, for reasons we can only guess at, maybe he's nervous. Maybe trying to be cunning. He lies. He tells the Männlein his basket is full of Froschschenkel, frog leg.
Frog legs. And here's where the story's unique physics come in. The Männlein doesn't argue or curse him. He just sort of confirms the lie. Says, so sollen es auch sein und bleiben.
Which means?
So shall it also be and remain. Basically, the moment Eula lied, reality itself shifted to match his words. It's like a magical contract.
That's wild, because when Yule gets to the king, all proud, he opens the basket, and it's not spoiled apples or anything mundane. It's full of actual, live, squirming frog legs.
Can you imagine? The king is, understandably, furious. Horrified, Yule gets chased out.
It's such a specific, bizarre punishment. Not just failure, but humiliation tied directly to the lie itself.
Exactly. The lesson is immediate. Lie about the core of your mission, and the mission's core changes to match the lie. Physical consequence for falsehood.
You'd think the next brother would learn from that, right? But no. Samuel, the second son, tries next.
Same setup. Meets the Männlein, gets asked the same question.
And lies again. This time he claims he's carrying Schweinsborsten, pig bristles.
Pig bristles. I mean, why? He knows what happened to Ula. But he does it anyway. And the Männlein gives the same response. The magic contract is sealed.
So he arrives at the castle, opens his basket, and finds pig bristles. Gets thrown out, and this time, whip, too.
Yeah. The sources hammer it home early. Cleverness plus dishonesty equals instant public failure. They had the cure, the means, but they didn't have the integrity. Their own words sabotaged them.
What strikes me is what they lied about. Not their name or destination, but the thing itself. The cure.
It's like they lacked faith in their own mission's value. Or maybe they thought the truth wasn't good enough. Either way, the magic didn't care for it.
Which brings us perfectly to phase two. The triumph of simple honesty. The father is obviously angry now. Two sons failed, 2 baskets of apples wasted. Then Hans, the youngest, the one they call Dummen Hans, asks if he can try.
And the father's reaction is just pure scorn, right? Ah, what, he says, if the clever ones couldn't do it, what can you possibly do? Dismissive.
But Hans insists, and his whole deal isn't about being clever or sneaky. It's just simplicity, truth. Maybe a bit of cheerful persistence.
That's his defining trait here. No guile, just straightforward goodwill.
So he sets off the next morning, basket of apples, probably whistling a tune or something. And sure enough, the Männlein appears, asks the question.
What are you carrying?
And Hans doesn't hesitate, doesn't try to game it. He just answers plainly. Äpfel, von denen die Königstochter gesund werden soll? Apples that are meant to cure the princess states the purpose clearly.
And the midline hears the truth, sees the intent matches the object, and he gives the same confirmation. So sollen it also be and remain. But this time, it's affirming the truth.
Right. And when Hans gets to the castle, the apples aren't just apples anymore. They're described as goldgelby Äpfel, golden yellow apples. They've been, like, magically enhanced, validated.
Because the intent and the reality were aligned, the system rewarded the honesty.
And the result, instant success. The princess eats just one golden apple and, the source says, she springs healthy out of bed. Just like that. Prophecy fulfilled.
Mission accomplished. You'd think that's the end, right? Hans gets the princess, the kingdom. Happily ever after.
Nope. This is where it gets interesting. Because the king, he stalls. He clearly doesn't want dumb Hans as his son-in-law and heir.
Exactly. Hans passed his moral test. Now the king reveals his own lack of integrity. The power structure itself is flawed.
But wait, why doesn't the king just, I don't know, find some excuse, banish him? He's the king. Why bother with more tasks if he's already breaking the spirit of the deal?
It's a good question. Maybe he can't just blatantly break the promise. Because Hans clearly has some kind of magical backing now. The Männlein is involved. Openly defying that might be risky.
Ah, okay. So he needs Hans to fail on his own merits, kind of.
Seems like it. He tries to keep the letter of the law. Okay, you cured her, but while making it impossible for Hans to actually claim the reward, he hopes Hans will just give up or mess up.
Which leads us to phase 3, these escalating impossible tasks. And they're not about honesty anymore. These are like crazy engineering challenges and magic quests.
Right. Task 1, build a ship. But not just any ship. One that goes faster on dry land than on water.
I mean, that's just impossible.
Totally. And the older brothers apparently try to interfere again, maybe hoping to sabotage Hans and grab the prize if he fails. But the Männlein stops them. Their motives are still corrupt.
But Hans, how does he react to being asked for the impossible?
Well, the text says he goes out, starts working cheerfully, even singing. He doesn't seem fazed. And when the Männlein shows up again, Hans just tells him the truth. Yeah, the king wants this crazy land ship.
And that combination, the cheerfulness, the persistence, the continued honesty, even about something absurd that works.
It does. It seems like that initial honesty built up some kind of, let's call it moral credit with the Männlein. The magical aid continues. The ship is instantly finished, and it drives with the speed of wind over the land.
Wow. So the Männlein isn't just a punisher of lies, he's an enabler of the truthful.
Seems that way. Hans proved his core integrity, and now the magic helps him overcome logistical impossibilities.
Okay, task 2. Even weirder, maybe. He has to herd 100 rabbits all day, from morning till evening, and not let a single one escape.
Yeah, try keeping one rabbit contained, let alone 100 without a fence. It's another impossible task without help.
So is this still about honesty?
Not directly, I think. He passed that test.
Yeah.
This feels more like testing his willingness to accept and use the magical help he's earned. His attitude matters.
And the Männlein helps again.
Yep. Shows up, gives Hans a magical pipe or flute, says if a rabbit wanders off, just play this whistle and it'll come right back.
And it works.
Perfectly. Hans completes the task. None escape. The magic works flawlessly for him because he's using it for the right reasons, earned through his earlier integrity.
Okay, magic land ship, perfectly herded rabbits. Surely the king has to give in now.
You'd think. But no. He's still determined not to give Hans the throne. So he sets the ultimate quest, the one that gives the story its name.
Ah, right. He demands Hans bring him a feather from the tail of the Bird Greif, the griffin bird.
Which is basically sending him on a suicide mission. Griffins aren't exactly known for giving away feathers nicely.
And this is where the story really shifts gears, doesn't it? Hans isn't just focused on his own reward anymore.
Exactly. Phase 4. The journey, karma, and the climax. Hans sets off to find this griffin, but the journey itself becomes transformative. He starts collecting problems. Other people's problems.
Right. He meets 3 different people, each with an impossible situation, and he agrees to ask the griffin for answers for them. He becomes a kind of knowledge broker for the unfortunate.
And these aren't just random problems. They're quite specific. First, someone who lost a key, a simple personal issue.
Second, another king whose daughter is sick. That's a direct echo of the story's start, right?
A very clear parallel. Hans is now in a position to help someone else with the same problem he initially solved.
And the third one. This one feels really significant.
It is. He meets a ferryman who is cursed. He has to carry everyone across a river endlessly. He can't stop. He's trapped in this forced servitude.
That sounds like like systemic oppression almost, a broken system trapping someone.
Precisely. So Hans promises to ask the griffin how to fix these things too. He gets to the griffin's lair, cleverly hides under the griffin's wife's bed.
Gutsy move.
Very. He manages to snatch a feather while the griffin sleeps. But crucially, he also overhears the griffin talking in his sleep, revealing the answers to all 3 questions he was asked to bring back.
So he gets the feather and the solutions for the others.
Exactly. And on his way back, he doesn't just rush to the king. He stops and delivers the answers. He tells the person where the lost key is. He tells the other king how to cure his daughter.
And the ferryman, how does he free him?
He tells him the trick. The curse is broken if the ferryman simply hands the oars to a passenger in the middle of the river, forces them to take over.
Passing the burden on. So Hans solves all these external problems.
Right. And for doing that, for helping these strangers, he's rewarded independently. The sources say he gets richly with gold, silver, cattle, and gifts. He returns not just with the feather, but wealthy, wealth earned through altruism.
And that is what finally does the king, isn't it?
It's the final twist. The king sees Hans returning, not just successful, but rich. And the king's fatal flaw, his greed, just takes over completely.
He thinks, hey, I want some of that griffin treasure.
Exactly.
Yeah.
He totally misses the point that Hans got rich by helping others, using the knowledge from the griffin, not just by visiting the griffin. He decides he has to go there himself.
Oh, boy. So the king sets off for the griffin's lair.
And eventually he reaches the river. And who does he need to get across?
The ferryman. The very same one Hans just told how to break the curse.
You got it. The now liberated ferryman knows exactly what to do. He rows the greedy king out into the middle of the river.
And hands him the oars.
Drops him right there. The king is forced to take over the ferryman's curse, and apparently he drowns. Poetic justice, karmic justice.
Delivered not by Hans directly, but as a consequence of Hans helping someone else break free from a cycle of oppression. Wow.
And that's how Hans finally gets the princess in the kingdom. Not just by fetching the feather, but because his earlier acts of integrity and altruism indirectly removed the corrupt king from power. The system corrected itself thanks to Hans's actions.
So to recap the big takeaway here, in this story, being clever but dishonest gets you, well, frog legs and pig bristles, instant failure. But simple honesty, persistence, and then using your success to help others, that leads to unexpected wealth and ultimately systemic justice.
Yeah, if we look at the bigger picture, it's suggesting that real power, real reward, isn't just about hitting that first goal. It's about the moral capital you build up along the way, especially by helping people who seem totally unrelated to your main quest, like the ferryman. Fixing that one systemic issue was key.
It really makes you think. The quest started as cure the princess, but it ended up being remove the corrupt king.
Which leads to a final thought, maybe for you listening. If that men line, the magic enforcer, always makes reality match the words spoken, did he know the older brothers would fail from the start because they were inherently deceitful? Or was it their act of lying about their noble mission that showed they just weren't worthy of the magic's help?
Like, does character predetermine destiny in this world, or does failing to believe in your own honest purpose disqualify you right then and there? Something to chew on.